Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So today I want to have a proper, honest conversation with you. Not a scary one, I promise you that. Just an honest one. Because I've been noticing lots of things lately, and I have a feeling so have you. Things that on their own seem fine. Just life. But when I look at them all together, I have to say something's shifting in Britain. And I think we all need to talk about it. Now, before we start, I want to be really clear. This is not a conspiracy video. And I'm not going to tell you anything is planned or coordinated or confirmed because honestly, I don't know that for sure. What I'm going to do is tell you that what I'm personally seeing, what I'm living through here in England in my day-to-day life. I'm going to ask you, how about you? Because I suspect a lot of what I'm noticing is landing in your life too. So let's just talk about it honestly, like we always do here. Let's start with cash, because this one's generally surprised me. I've always been a cash person. You know that about me. Cash keeps me on budget. It stops me overspending. And there's something about physically handing over money, counting it out, watching it go, that makes it feel real. But lately, I'm being pushed away from it. Last month alone, I walked into 3 different places, not fancy shops, just ordinary everyday places. And either they wouldn't take cash or they made it very clear they'd rather I didn't pay in cash. One of them looked at me like I'd done something peculiar, just forget my purse out. And I've been thinking about that a lot. Because removing cash isn't just inconvenient for a lot of people, older people, people on very tight budgets, people who use cash specifically because it helps them not overspend. Removing it removes a layer of freedom, real financial freedom. There's actually research that shows people spend more when they pay by card or app, consistently more, because it doesn't feel like real money when you can't hold it. Now, from a frugal living point, from an I want to be in control of my own money point of view, that concerns me. Not because I think it's plotting, but because I see where it leads and it's not somewhere I want to go. And it's not just cash itself, it's the places you could get cash that were disappearing too. Bank branches. We've lost hundreds across the UK in the last few years. Hundreds. And it's not the branches in big, busy city centres that are going. It's the ones in smaller towns, rural areas, communities where not everyone has a car, where not everyone can just pop to the next town over. Now, at the same time of all of this, the Bank of England has been quietly looking into something called the digital pound, a digital version of sterling, issued and controlled centrally. I want to be careful here because I won't say things I can't back up. What I will say is, I think these things are worth understanding because any change in how our money works, how it moves, how it controls, that affects us. It affects you and me. And I think we deserve to know what's being proposed, even when the conversation is complicated. Then there's digital ID. Now, I made a video about this recently. I'll pop it in the description. But the short version is, it's coming. It's not a theory. That's government policy. And I'm not automatically saying that's terrible. There are arguments for it. I understand. But there are also questions that I think ordinary people should be asking. Who holds our data? What happens when the system goes down? What about people who struggle with technology? Are they just left behind? Those aren't extreme questions, the reasonable ones. And I'd rather we ask them now, calmly, rather than wait until everything is already decided. I'd like to just add, if you're finding this conversation useful, please do press the like button. It genuinely helps more people find it. It really does. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd absolutely love to have you stay a while. Now, the next point, I'll be honest, is the one I find hardest to talk about because it's got very heated online and I really don't want to add to that. What I'm talking about is the changes to how our towns are being planned. Low traffic neighbourhoods, road restrictions, what some councils are calling the 15-minute city. The idea that everything you need should be within 15 minutes of your home. And in theory, lovely, isn't it? Everything local, community life, less traffic. Lovely. But in practice, I keep coming back to this. What does that mean for people in the countryside? For people who can't walk 15 minutes? For people who travel to work or whose family live on the other side of the country? Me included. I'm not saying anyone is trying to restrict us. I'm really not. I'm just saying there are big changes, and big changes deserve proper conversation, not just implementation. And underneath it all, sort of holding it together, is the money pressure, the cost of living. Because when people are really squeezed, and a lot of us in Britain are really squeezed right now, they become more dependent on systems, on credit, on digital payments, on apps and schemes that sometimes require sign up or ID just to access basic help. I shop at food initiatives, I batch cook, I build my storage in the pantry. I make everything stretch as far as it possibly can. And I do that partly because I genuinely love it. You know I do. But I also do it because of the independence it gives me and my family. The feeling that I'm not completely at the mercy of rising prices or systems that don't look out for people like us. That has always been the heart of Wallflowers UK. So here's what I want to say, and I want to say it carefully. Each of these things, cash, the banks, digital ID, changes to our towns, the cost of living, on its own, each one on its own, maybe fine, maybe manageable, but all of them together at the speed they're moving at, when it's getting harder and harder to simply opt out of digital systems than it was even 5 years ago. I feel it. Something is shifting. I don't know exactly what's coming. Genuinely, I don't. And I won't pretend I do. But I can see the direction of travel. And I think it's worth talking about calmly, practically, together, which is what we've always done here. So what do I actually do with all of this? What does it look like in practice? Well, I still use cash whenever I can, not to be difficult, but because it helps me keep grounded, and because I think using it matters. I build my food storage slowly, steadily, sensibly, because being able to feed your family from your own shelves for at least a couple of weeks, that's one of the most powerful forms of independence I know. I stay informed, I read, I question things. I don't just take things at face value, whether that's government announcements or even something that's doing the rounds online. And I talk to people, my neighbours, my family, people in the community, because real connection, local, warm, ordinary connection, is something no digital system can replace. None of this is extreme, none of it's radical. It's just living thoughtfully, which is exactly what we try to do here. I'd really love to know your thoughts on this. Have you noticed any of these changes in your own life? Have you started doing anything differently? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one of them. And if this is the kind of honest conversation you want more of, do come and join us, subscribe, and you'll never miss a video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please take care, remember you're loved, and know the world is a better place with you in it. Bye, love.